Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping a week's worth of nerdy news from Earth Prime to Earth 616 and everywhere in between. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Gibson, and my partner, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, as always, I'm just going to continue it a hell of a lot in the world of nerddom. They just keep throwing stuff at us, so we're going to keep telling you guys about it.
Do. Seems to be nonstop. Sometime there's going to be a week where there's just nothing, and we're not going to know what to do.
We'll just end up talking about, James Tynion books for half an hour, because that seems to work lately.
Yeah, you mean an additional half hour, because probably the last half hour of this podcast we'll be talking about James Tynion IV. Spoiler alert! We got a pretty hefty episode for you. We got some castings in Marvel, got some castings in DC. We got a Dune trailer to talk about, and we got a bunch of comic stuff to talk about. We're going to start things off in the DC universe, DC Extended Universe. I would really appreciate it if they just came out and gave us something to call that thing. But they haven't. And so, anyway, we are stuck talking about the DC, however you want to say it. Couple big stories from DC this week. First of all, they found their Batgirl. After earlier in the week, they released a short list of, I think it was 4 names that were on the short list for casting as Batgirl, were rumored to be up for the part. And then a day or 2 days later, we got official word that Leslie from In the Heights, the movie Lin-Manuel Miranda's adaptation of his stage show that premiered on HBO Max and in theaters a couple weeks ago, has been cast as Barbara Gordon in the HBO Max exclusive Batgirl movie. Steve, did you see In the Heights?
I did not, and
Neither did I.
I don't know. I know I've heard good things. I've heard awkward things. I've heard a lot of things. So, I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure it's probably good.
I have heard mostly good things about it. I did plan to watch it, and it got taken off HBO Max prior to me being able to watch it. I did hear it was very good, and I heard Leslie Grace was very good in it. And I don't know her from anything, but a lot of the times I kind of end up liking that when, we might have talked about this in a previous episode, when somebody is cast in a role that's an unknown, or maybe not even an unknown, but someone that you haven't seen before, you have no pre-associations with them, then they become that character for you, what was I just thinking about the other? Oh, I was talking about my favorite movie is Jaws, and I was listening to a podcast about some people talking about Jaws, and they're talking about how good the acting is, and Robert Shaw as Quint, and I realized I've never seen Robert Shaw in any other movie ever, and in my head, he's only Quint from Jaws. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that oftentimes helps you really connect with somebody, and this might be the case unless something comes up with Leslie Grace, or I end up seeing In the Heights before Batgirl comes out, which I still would like to.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, though.
Gives you the chance to latch onto it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Jaws thing, like, I don't know if it was the same podcast, but I was literally, like, 2 weeks ago listening to something about that, and how basically, like, you don't think of him as anything but Quint, even though he's an accomplished actor. But that's all I ever saw him in, and it really has shaped, like, anything revolving that movie. It's just like, that guy's Quint. He's nothing else. He's just Quint.
Yeah. He's just incredible. He's just incredible in that movie. Anyway, this isn't about Jaws, though, even though I could talk about Jaws for a long time. We're talking about Batgirl. Steve, do you think Leslie Grace is going to be better than Alicia Silverstone?
It always comes back to those movies, doesn't it?
I guess
she
it's
can't
hard
be worse.
For me. I'm very excited about Batgirl. It's hard for me to really talk about this casting. I'm excited that we have a Batgirl, but since I haven't seen her or anything, it's hard for me to, like, analyze if she's going to be good in it.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm excited that I like that she's a Hispanic woman, and also that Supergirl has been cast as a Hispanic woman, and so we're going to see 2 Hispanic women as 2, very popular DC characters. Yeah. Like, that's really exciting to me. And I don't know. I'm really pumped for this movie. There's not much else I can say. Like, this is the first bit of news really we've gotten about. I think we got the writer a few weeks ago, but this is it, and I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, as long as that writer doesn't hand it over to Joel Schumacher, it should be a better iteration of Batgirl.
I don't think anyone's really handing anything over to Joel Schumacher these days, because he's dead. But it comes back to the question that we talked about
soon, man.
when
Too soon.
they did announce. Yeah, when they did it, I think there's a delay more than usual this week. I don't know if you're catching that too. I feel like there's more of a delay this week. Anyway, sorry for listeners if there's a delay and it weirds us out. What was I saying? It comes back to the question that we talked about when we were talking about either the writer, I think it was the directors. They announced the directors of the movie, and we were talking about then what continuity is this Batgirl going to be in? Is it going to be the daughter of I'm blanking on the guy's name from the Justice League movie? Is it going to be Jeffrey Wright's daughter from the Robert Pattinson movie? That seems not likely to me. Or is it going to be something completely new? You know, DC has announced that their universe is a multiverse and everything happened, so it could be just a completely new version of Batgirl, which would be totally fine as well. But do you have like an inkling? Do you have a preference as to like where canonically it fits, if it does at all? Canonically, sorry.
No, I mean, it's as long as they do it right, I don't think it matters where it comes from. And I think I've learned that from like the Marvel stuff, where in my brain, and probably much like you for DC, there's something preconceived in my head as to where all these characters come from and where they fit in. And this guy is this iteration of whatever character. And when it's not done step by step, my first inkling is that's not right. And then when they do it right, you're just like, oh, but that works so much better. I guess they do know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I do appreciate the idea that if they started from scratch, then their hands aren't tied by any other anything, and they don't have to worry about, well, Commissioner Gordon technically is over here, so or whatever. Obviously, I would like to see further connectivity within that universe, but I'm not gonna throw a fit if they give me a completely different version of the character. But either way, I'm very excited about Batgirl. There's still no date on when this is happening, but it will be an HBO Max exclusives. We'll be watching it from our couches, which is exciting. Moving on to probably a bigger piece of DC news, I would say, that dropped a little bit later in the week, something that I was not expecting to happen. Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger himself, is developing a new Superman project for HBO Max, a limited series for HBO Max. Why is this such a big deal? A little bit of background. Some of this we may have talked about in previous episodes. Because on previous episodes, we have talked about that a few months ago, Warner Brothers announced they were developing a new Superman movie. It was going to be produced by J.J. Abrams and his company Bad Robot. It was going to be written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and there were a lot of rumors and assumptions that this was going to be a black man playing the role of Clarke Kent for the first time, a character who is canonically a white man. A lot of people were up in arms about that. How dare you do this? I am of the opinion that Superman's an alien, so he can be really any color. He could be green. There's no reason for him to be a white guy. Just he's from literally another planet. Mm-hmm. So if you want to cast Clarke Kent as a different ethnicity, I'm totally fine with that. I think it makes sense, and it's, it's fine. But let's see, there's a lot of information here. I'm kind of trying to read it and say it out loud at the same time. So this news was broken by a guy named Jeff Snyder, who works for the outlet Collider, and in his article he cited a blog article, it's harder to say than it should be, from the site Black Girl Nerds, written by a woman named Jamie Broadnax. And the report claimed that Michael B. Jordan had seen the race bending of Clarke Kent as quote-unquote tone deaf, in that it effectively erases other black Superman characters that already exist namely Val Zod and Calvin Ellis. Now, these are two other Superman characters who are black men that are from just different parts of the DC multiverse, worlds where Clark Kent does not exist. And this kind of shut down rumors that Michael B. Jordan was going to be in the J.J. Abrams, Ta-Nehisi Coates version, because there had been rumors for a long time that he was talking to Warner Brothers about Superman. And clearly he had shot down that movie to do this limited series, which is going to be focused on this Val Zod character. Now, Val Zod is the Superman of Earth 2. It's a similar story where his parents are killed before the explosion of Krypton, and he's sent to Earth and becomes Superman, but it's on Earth 2 and not Earth Prime. So anyway, there's a whole lot of backstory for this news story, because one, I'm excited that there's going to be a Val Zod Superman limited series produced by and possibly starring Michael B. Jordan as Val Zod Superman. But it also makes me think, does this change does it change what Warner Brothers and J.J. Abrams is going to do with the movie version? Is that going to have any effect? Are we going to have two black Supermen? Was the movie never going to be a black Superman? I don't know that we ever got hard confirmation that it was going to be a black man as Clark Kent. I think it was a lot of assumptions and rumors. I don't know that I ever heard something that was like firm. So for me, I'll take all the Supermen. I don't care. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, the shirt on your chest usually would indicate that any and all Supermen welcome. They again, Michael B. Jordan, outside of one really, really bad step into fantasticness, has nailed most of any superhero, anything he's done. So he seems to get it.
He's done right by us nerds for the most part.
Yeah, he gets it. And, I mean, if you can portray Eric Killmonger the way he did and do basically turn him into, yes, he died, but it's also one of, sorry, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That was one of the more empathetic characters, like villains in the MCU, where you could feel like
in the MCU.
Oh yeah, like you knew like everything he was doing. You're like, yeah, I get it. Like I understand why he's a supervillain. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But if he can take half of that and bring it to a Superman project, I don't care what Superman it is. It could be, the Superman of some Earth we haven't seen yet. I don't care.
Right.
Like, if he's doing it and he's doing it right, much like we said with Batgirl, it's like, okay, that sounds great. Like, whatever you want to do, if you make it a good movie, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it speaks to, because we heard those rumors initially about him meeting with Warner Brothers about Superman years ago, and now this is just coming out now. To me, that shows that he's very passionate about this project, whether it means he's going to star in it or not. He clearly wants to be involved with Warner Brothers, with DC, and with the Superman project. Because I think we mentioned last week also, he is producing a Static Shock series, or we meant maybe not last week, but
that's what. Okay.
He's producing a Static Shock movie for HBO Max as well. So he's in this universe. He's with these characters, and that's shows me that he's very passionate about them. That he's been rumored to be hovering around Superman for quite some time. I think it's interesting, as a white guy, I never thought about that side of the race bending thing. Or race bending to me, I doesn't really affect me. I think that there's characters that it works with. There's characters that you shouldn't do. Like you shouldn't make Black Panther a different ethnicity, or someone like Storm. It doesn't make sense because that's where they're from or whatever. Like again, Superman's an alien. Doesn't matter what color he is. Peter Parker. There was that. The article that led to the creation of Miles Morales, the argument that blew up online about Peter Parker should be black and it makes more sense and blah blah, and then that became Miles Morales.
Right.
But the idea that just race bending would erase established black characters I guess that hadn't really crossed my mind before. I gotta admit that I was ignorant to that point of view, I guess, and I think that's a legitimate point of view, because you wouldn't make. It'd be like if they recast Peter Parker as black, everyone would be like, well, why aren't you doing Miles? And not necessarily out of you shouldn't do race bending or you shouldn't make this white guy a black guy, but just like you have this great character that's already written to speak to the African American experience. Why would you just use that instead of changing Clark Kent, who is written to not really speak to the African American experience? It's certainly his origin anyway. So I got to say that's an interesting point. If that's true, I mean, I think that I don't know that was that whole blog article on that Black Girl nerd site was very interesting, and it was a lot of insight, and it claimed to be like sources close to Michael B. Jordan. But it wasn't like a quote from him saying that it was tone deaf to erase the black Superman that had been established. But I do think it's an interesting point of view. And again, if we end up with 2 black Supermen, I'm great. I just want, like you said, as long as they're good. I don't care what color you are. Just make it good.
Right. Hell, make it 3. Give me a Velzad, a Kelvin Ellis, and a race bent Clark Kent that are all good. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that, I mean, I have to say, I would love Henry Cavill to come back as Superman. Yep. So that's like the only thing that I would be like, if they announced any different actor as Clark Kent come back for Superman movie, I'd be like, bummer that we don't get more Henry Cavill because he deserves another Superman movie. But I'll be upset about that for 5 minutes, and then I'll be like, I hope this is good. That's all. Well, that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Wesley Snipes come back as Blade, but we're probably not going to see that, seeing Mahershala Ali has been cast. And now, apparently, Bassam Tariq is in talks to direct Blade. I am not amazingly familiar with his work, but apparently he was the director of Mogul Mowgli. That seems fine. Again, much like we usually drop with these MCU directors that we don't know of, and I'm sure we soon will. It's like, okay, they saw something they liked, so I'll trust them at this point.
Yeah, and there's a writer attached to this new Blade remake. Stacey Osai Kufor is to write the script. Mahershala Ali is to star. We found out about Mahershala Ali starring 2 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con, which is going on this weekend, correct? I believe. It was 2 years
at
ago,
home.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's at home this year. But yeah, 2 years ago was the last in-person one that they did pre-COVID, I believe, if I'm getting my dates right. And
yeah, 2019.
That was the Phase 4 announcement. Yeah, because we were at our friend's wedding.
Right. Yep.
Or checking our phones, trying not to be rude in the middle of his wedding reception. Oh my God, Thor: Love and Thunder. And that's when they announced Mahershala Ali was starring as Blade, and I believe it was his pitch to Kevin Feige to come in that he said he wanted to be Blade, which is interesting.
Even better.
That he's got enough clout and because he had just won an Oscar for that Green Book, I think, and so he was coming off an Oscar win. The first thing he does off an Oscar win is walk into Kevin Feige's office and say, "I want to be Blade." That's badass.
Now, did he go in carrying the trophy and being like, "Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Yeah.
This here says I get to do what I want. I'm gonna be Blade."
Yeah. I'm gonna be Blade. Oh, did you? I just wanted to show you my Oscar. It's cool, right? I got this Oscar. I'm an Oscar winner. It's got my name on it and everything. Check that out, buddy. Yeah. Anyway, vampires. I'm also not familiar with this director, but this seems like another case of Marvel doing their homework in the indie scene and seeing who's out there, seeing what movies they're making, and trying to catch the indie guys, before they blow up, or the ones that they believe are destined to blow up. Let's get this person in now, before they're too good for us.
Hi, Taika. How are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And Chloe Zhao.
Yep.
Same way.
So
they definitely have an eye.
Yeah. Stacey Osai Kafur has writing credits on Watchmen as well, the series.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
Okay.
That was great. So I'm in.
Yeah. Anyone that was part of that Watchmen writers room, I'll follow forever. That show is the gold standard of comic book adaptations, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so I'm super excited about Blade. Gotta wonder if there's gonna be a Wesley Snipes cameo. I mean, or a reference. I feel like Marvel. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they like doing that, and sometimes they want to like do their own thing and step away, and this is gonna be a different thing.
I'd be curious now that we don't have the random Stan cameos, if they start doing, and especially with more interconnectedness of some of the universes, that we start seeing a little more of that kind of playing around with. Oh yeah, this guy played it 25 years ago.
Yeah, could be. Or, I mean, we're getting a multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange. Maybe could be no reason that we don't see him there, or in some kind of event that happens later if the multiverse explodes.
Yeah.
If they can get Michael Keaton to come back as Batman, they can get Wesley Snipes to come back as Blade, for sure.
Fair enough.
For sure. I don't know that he's turning down too much stuff. No offense, Wesley Snipes. I know you're listening. I'm sorry if that insulted you.
That man starred in Demolition Man, and he will forever be in Demolition Man to me. And also White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also Blade.
Oh yeah.
So, so speaking of Marvel casting, we're moving into another Marvel casting announced this week. Michaela Cole, Emmy-nominated actor, writer, and director of the HBO Max series I May Destroy You, has been cast in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. I have not watched I May Destroy You, but I did learn, looking at her credits, that she had a small role in The Last Jedi. Interesting. I don't even know if it was a speaking role, but she was like Resistance Monitor, I think was her credit in Last Jedi. So probably someone just in the background looking at a screen.
Yep.
Anyway, Michaela Cole, clearly very talented actor, writer, and director. And I heard lots about I May Destroy You being an incredible, incredible series. I just haven't checked it out. So she's been cast in Black Panther. There's no word on who she's playing. I haven't seen that. I have heard the one rumor that excites me more than anything else, and I don't know that it's a rumor or just people on Twitter saying, wouldn't it be great if she was playing Storm?
Yeah.
And that's how they were introducing mutants into the MCU, was via her casting as Storm, because Black Panther and Storm in the comics, they're married, right? Or they were.
They've been
retconned since then.
Yeah, there's been a couple different iterations, but they definitely they've been hitched at various points.
They definitely have a history.
Yeah, that was the first thing that like I mentioned, the other website I write for is a sports website, but we also in our Slack have a sub channel for nerddom, and that was the immediate first thing as soon as someone linked it. Storm ? Like she
right.
If that's the way they bring in Aurora Monroe, that's pretty awesome. And I think that might be how we start seeing mutants, is not like bring in the character and then have it revealed at a point that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a storm goddess. That's fine. Bring in James Howlett, or hey, this is Logan whatever at the time, and just have him be a dude, and then randomly at some point in the future he has claws.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm on this team. Did I not mention?
Yeah.
I'm on this whole team of people.
Why are you wearing those tights?
I think that's a cool idea. Oh, yeah. Did I not tell you? I think it would be cool. I think that's a good idea, Steve, that maybe we don't maybe we don't meet the X-Men all at once. We meet a couple here and there that maybe we don't even know that's who they are, but then they turn out to be.
Right.
There's a twist, or it's not. Maybe it's not even in that movie. Maybe the next movie or whatever, they show up and it's like, oh my gosh, that was that person the whole time. That'd be pretty cool, because I think everyone's expecting an X-Men movie that says, hey, here's your X-Men. But if we just get one, and then we get another, maybe there's one in Thor: Love and Thunder, or maybe there's one in whatever other Eternals or something. Who knows? They could be like kind of slowly integrating them, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, no matter what, I mean, how can we not be excited about and very intrigued. I would say excited and intrigued about what's going on with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And I say intrigued, knowing that Chadwick Boseman has passed and will not be in it. It's just a huge question mark over like, how are they going to do this? What are they going to do with it to make it? Clearly, they're going to be some kind of. It's going to pay respect to him in some way. It must, but then also be its own thing and move the continuity forward in some way. And it's going to be a tightrope to walk, I think. And we'll see how it is. And we don't know much about it besides the people that we're assuming are going to return or have been announced to return. They haven't even really confirmed everybody in the old cast. I think Martin Freeman's the only one that's come out and said, yeah, I'm in it. We're all assuming that Angela Bassett and Shuri, I can't remember the actress's name,
Letitia Wright,
and Denai Guerrera is going to be, Letitia Wright and Denai Guerrera. We're assuming that they're all going to come back.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yep, Lupita Nyong'o. It could be anything. I mean, Ryan Coogler is a great writer, great director, so I trust him for sure. And he's bringing on more talented people with the casting of Michaela Cole. So
yeah,
not much we can do but wait and see. Wait and see until there's an announcement.
Yeah, and we have no idea.
And the rumor about go ahead.
Go for it.
I was going to say the rumor about Namor possibly being in it, which we talked about a couple episodes ago.
Yep.
Namor is canonically a mutant as well, so maybe if she is Storm, maybe it's like, can you talk to this guy that is the same type of person as you? I don't know. It could be, even if she's not Storm, but we're meeting Namor, technically we are going to get a mutant in the movie, but
true.
Could be either way. I don't know. There's so much up in the air. They could do anything with it.
So there's a lot up in the air on that. And up until 2 days ago, there was a lot up in the air about the upcoming Dune movie, which there was about, I think, 30 seconds of footage from a year and change ago, and that was about it. And we finally got a full trailer.
And then for a while, we didn't know if it was going to be. They said it was going to be on HBO Max with the day and date releases in theaters, and they said no, it's going to be only in theaters. And they're like, nope, definitely going to be on HBO Max, guys. What are you doing? So I was back and forth for a while, but sorry, I talked over the interview. But yes, like you were saying, we finally got a full trailer, and when I say full, I mean really full. 3.5 minutes long of a trailer for Dune came out this week. That's a long trailer. Trailers, I feel like, are 2.5 minutes tops, maybe-ish, but 3.5 minutes is a long trailer. And I just rewatched it again before we started going here, and there's a lot in that trailer, and it looks phenomenal. What do you think, Steve?
Well, we determined before the cast that I read the book a long time ago, and you haven't at this point. So
I have not.
It's, from my standpoint, like, it captured the feel. So with Dune, anyone who's followed Dune over the years, it goes back to the quote unquote glorious 1984 iteration that was not good.
I tried watching that once. Watching that with my dad once. We're like, oh, we haven't seen this. That's why we did not make it very far into it. We're like, this is weird. And we don't know what's going on. I think I'd appreciate it more now because I appreciate other works by David Lynch now that I'm a little older and more mature. But at the time, I was like, this is fucking weird. And I'm out of here.
Yeah, and it took a Lynch turn on a already established thing, which is kind of
right.
Like, you don't Lynchify something that's already been done. Like, can you imagine a Superman movie done by David Lynch?
Or can you imagine, one, no, but also can you also imagine a Return of the Jedi directed by David Lynch? Because he was offered Return of the Jedi. Did you know that?
Yeah, I remember hearing that and being like, ooh, kind of glad we ended up where we did.
I kind of would like to see him do a Star Wars movie, though. That would be kind of great. That'd be kind of great. Or like an episode of Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian. Yep. Like, just give him one episode of something. That'd be so good.
You go take this off the wall somewhere. Just do your thing. We'll come back to it.
By the end of the episode, this has to happen. Just however you want to get it there is fine. But it has to be this by the end. Up to you.
Yep.
That'd be great.
So
No, I haven't read it. I showed you before we started that I am planning to read at some point before the movie comes out this beautiful hardcover edition of Frank Herbert's Dune, the graphic novel, that I bought as soon as I saw it for the first time, but haven't actually started reading it yet. My wife recently read the book and said it was very good, although, like everyone else said, it was very dense, lots going on. They kind of jump you right into a whole thing, and it takes you a while to really understand what's going on from everything that I've heard. But I've also heard it's a masterpiece, and trailer looks great. Trailer looks beautiful. I'm a big fan of the movies of Denis Villeneuve. Arrival, Blade Runner 2049. Those are masterworks, I believe, and this looks like it could be another one. I mean, even if I didn't know anything about the movie, even if I hadn't seen a trailer, if you just showed me the cast list for this movie, I would be interested in seeing this movie. Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, just, I don't know, anybody you want to see in a movie. Josh Brolin, Zendaya, like, just the greatest cast of all time.
Jason Momoa without a beard.
With and without a beard. Like, is there going to be a shaving scene in the movie? It's kind of interesting. I feel like normally, if you got a beard for a movie, that's where you're going to have the entire movie. But nope, this guy shaves and or grows a beard. We'll find out. Do you think, as someone that has read the book, do you think that it looks faithful? Do you think that it is... Does it look like it's hitting a bunch of plot points from the book or from the story? Or does it look like something that you can't understand what is what?
No, just from the trailer, it definitely gives you the feel that this is going to be a much more faithful adaptation. Isaac as Leto Atreides is that like, to me, that hit home. Brolin actually worked really well as Gunny. Everyone really, like, it felt right. So I'll take it. The other option would be not to, and be sitting in the 1984 iteration. So when all else fails, that's. I think we're on track for what could be a good movie. I'm not going to hold my breath, but from what I've seen, the visuals looked great. The whole sandworm thing was just awesome. Just because.
I agree. Yeah, I'm interested in learning about that because I don't know anything about them, but they look amazing. I heard some people online saying that they thought that the trailer looked more like an action movie than they think it's going to be, because the book isn't necessarily all action, but the trailer, you know, and a lot of Hollywood movies are just like, explosions. So, like, it'll be interesting to see if it does lean into the action to make it, you know, a more interesting and exciting film, or if it does, goes the opposite way and is a little more faithful to the book to appease, like, the actual readers of the story and things like that. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Maybe there's another trailer, but we've all seen movies before where the trailer made it look like one thing and then it turned into something completely different. It's not always a bad thing. It still can be a great movie, but
then it might be
just, like, kind of switch your expectations up.
Yeah, they may have done that to get the hooks in, and then you could tell by, yes, the stuff with Gurney and, like, Duncan's relationship with Paul, and the Leto stuff with Oscar Isaac, and even the other half of the story not dealing with the Atreides, everything was set up in this tense, which the whole thing is tense, but it was set up in, like you said, this action-filled thing where I can see them filling in a lot of the gaps and bringing that level down into, like, you're learning things and understanding, motivations and good actual dialogue and stuff like that. So
world building, characterization, things like that.
Right. And from what I can gather, this is only going to be the first half of a 2-part movie, which I haven't heard the second part being greenlit. But it should...
It's probably smart.
Yeah, it's...
There's been too many cases of Hollywood greenlighting a sequel before they hear how the first movie did. That's how we ended up with Justice League being what it was.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so, I think they're smart to wait. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a deal in place, but they were waiting to announce it until opening weekend or something like that.
Yeah, like see what the numbers come back.
We have an option to say no to this, but we're going to wait to see the box office, and then we'll be pedal to the metal on developing that sequel.
Yep.
So I would not be surprised. I can't wait. I'm excited. And when is it? November?
October 22nd.
Okay, I knew it was fall.
Let me look.
It's not quite as bad.
Yes.
It still seems like, well, I guess we'll probably get another trailer in maybe another trailer in August, another trailer in September, and that'll be the last one. So I guess they're on track. It just seems like October seems like really far away, but
now I just have to reread the
ongoing.
Yeah, now I'll just have to reread the book by October. So
there you go. There's a challenge. I'll read the graphic novel, you read the book, and we'll see who finishes first. I'm guessing me.
I think you got this one.
Yeah. I can only imagine the pictures will do a lot of work that the book has to do in prose.
Yeah, there's a lot of words that have to make up those pictures.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to move into our famous segment that everybody loves that we've done exactly one other time, one-shots. These are smaller stories that came out this week that we wanted to talk about, but not spend too much time talking about them because we're trying to keep this show to an hour-ish, and lately we've been straying from that a little more than we'd like. So we're going to do some one-shots. We got 3 of them this week, starting off with Steve. Hit us with the first one-shot, Steve.
Sure. In standard Marvel casting news, Josh Segarra, who was the supervillain Prometheus on Arrow, has now officially joined the cast of Marvel She-Hulk. We have no idea who he is, and we have no idea what he's doing. So we have a name and nothing else.
Great. Audible and DC and Warner Brothers announced the voice cast for Sandman Season 2. Sandman Act 2 Audible audio drama. The first season was incredible. A lot of the voices from the first act are returning. James McAvoy returns as Dream, Kat Dennings as Death, Michael Sheen as Lucifer, Andy Serkis as Matthew the Raven. This time they're going to be joined by Jeffrey Wright, Christian Schall, Brian Cox, John Lithgow, and David Tennant. Plus a bunch of other people that I didn't recognize their names quite as much. Also, Neil Gaiman himself, author of the original graphic novel, returns as the narrator. Again, if you don't have Audible, but you're interested in Sandman, it is worth the price of the subscription just to listen to Sandman. I love it. I'm still in finishing up Act 1, but it's the greatest thing ever, and can't wait for Act 2.
And to finish off the segment, Emilia Clarke has officially confirmed her role in Secret Invasion. That's harder than it should have been.
Yeah.
So Secret Invasion, I can't remember what time frame, but the Marvel crossover event with there's a lot of Skrulls. We'll figure out who's a Skrull. We'll figure out who's not. Emilia Clarke may or may not be one of them because, as I mentioned before, nobody ever knows with Marvel. Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Olivia Colman, and Christopher McDonald have all been confirmed along with Emilia Clarke to star in it, assuming Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn are reprising roles. And Clarke is now promoting her new comic book, Mom, not Multiverse of Madness, Mother of Madness. So,
yeah, I thought that was interesting that she is, because she confirmed this role on the Tonight Show, I think, or confirmed that she was in Secret Invasion, but wouldn't say who she was. But she was on the Tonight Show in general, not promoting a TV show or a movie. She's promoting a comic book that she wrote. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think
you don't see I think Seth Meyers is actually. He has comic book authors and writers on sporadically, as if, just they're like a musician or an actor or whatever like that. I think that's great, but it's cool to see someone on The Tonight Show. It's cool to see someone promoting comics on a mainstream television show and not just on the internet or somebody's podcast or something, comic books should be treated like a mainstream medium, so it's cool when you see people promoting that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Anyway, speaking of comics, I'm always thinking of comics, but speaking of them, I'm gonna talk about some comic books now. Roll into the comic book segment of the show. We got some Eisner Award winners to talk about. The Eisner Awards were held Thursday, Friday?
I think so. I think Thursday.
During virtual San Diego Comic-Con. We just wrote out some of the higher some of the prestige categories here. Best continuing series, Usagi Yojimbo by Stan Sakai. No surprise there, really. Best limited series, so near and dear to my heart, Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen by Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber. That also won for best humorous series. That was so funny and so amazing. Highly recommend. Best new series, Black Widow by Kelly Thompson and Elena Casagrande. Best writer, James Tynion IV wins for Something is Killing the Children, Wind, Batman, Department of Truth, and Razor Blades. That dude is writing all the books, and his work paid off because he is now an Eisner Award-winning writer of all of those books. Steve, what stands out to you on this list or the list in general, the ones we didn't really cover here?
Well, I guess on a surface level, if you've been listening, we've touted just about at various points all of James Tynion's options for what he could write. And as you can see, we were apparently not wrong, which is a nice piece of like, oh, you guys actually can understand what a good book looks like. So here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that he can write 5 radically different books simultaneously. I feel like I would just have to focus on one storyline until it was completed, and then I can think about a completely different storyline. It seems like he's got to jump back and forth. I would love to see his schedule. Like, are you writing Batman from 10 a.m. to noon, and then you're switching to Something is Killing the Children for the afternoon? Like,
right.
How do you do that? How do you compartmentalize those stories and those characters that are so radically different? Again, I will shout out Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen, Matt Fraction from the famous Hawkeye series they did for Marvel a few years ago that everybody loves. Jumped to DC for this, Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen, with artist Steve Lieber. It is hilarious. It is poignant. It is funny. It's just about... it's Jimmy Olsen getting into some weird conspiracy theory mix-up. It's told out of order, so sometimes you don't really know when something is happening until it connects at the end. It's just, It's so funny. It's clearly written by somebody that understands the characters and knows how to, connect dots in ways that are clever and also hilarious. And I don't know, it's just great. I highly recommend it. I think it's out in trade paperback now. Very funny book. And also, I guess I wasn't surprised because I heard it was great, but Black Widow taking home Best New Series, because that's still happening. Still going on right now, and I haven't read any of the, I feel like there's been so many like starts to Black Widow that I don't think I've read any of this current series. I was picking up a few books of Web of Black Widow from a year or two ago.
Right.
But I didn't jump on this one. I think because I had just read the other one, I was like, I'll skip this one. Apparently, I made a big mistake because it's an Eisner Award-winning series now.
I literally had that conversation with a buddy of mine probably 2 weeks ago. Of he was on the Widow train, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you should check this out. Like, this new run by Thompson is phenomenal." And apparently, he was right. And I need to fire up the old Marvel Unlimited subscription and see what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'll probably pick up once it's in trade. I don't know. It's a series. It's not a limited series, so it might just be going on forever. Who knows how long that creative team will be on or when it'll be collected in a trade paperback. But I am interested in reading it, and I guess we'll see. Speaking of things I'm interested in reading and excited about, I've got a Marvel announcement this week in the world of comics that Luke Cage is returning with his own series. There's been a while since Luke Cage has had a solo series going on at Marvel. He's coming back in a series called City of Fire. The logline for this book is that it says a shadowy rogue group named the Regulators are terrorizing ordinary citizens in New York City, and Luke Cage is called to action when a black man in his community is murdered by a crooked police officer. So definitely looking into the current social climate of the day. I think that makes a ton of sense to be introducing a Luke Cage book like this in 2021. I think it makes a ton of sense to be taking a cue from terrible atrocities that have happened in the world in the last, forever. So, and bringing it to a major mainstream stage, I think is important. And I'm excited to read this book. Steve, have you read a ton of Luke Cage stuff?
No, well, any of the books in the Marvel catalog, the any of the Defenders books are probably lowest on my list outside of Daredevil, from what I've read.
Yeah.
I definitely, it's one of those where I probably should pick up some of them just to, well, again, Marvel Unlimited. Thanks, guys. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. Look into some of those classic Luke Cage runs and, probably eventually look at this. But between that and Jessica Jones and all that, I didn't have a heck of a lot of... I had a passing knowledge prior, but until the original series, the Netflix series,
yeah.
that was kind of my original introduction outside of, oh yeah, I think this guy was Power Man back in the day. And that was about it.
Okay, yeah, I've read. I haven't read any of his solo stuff, but I've read a couple Avengers arcs where he was a main character from varying timelines. So until that was my only exposure really to him until the series, which I thought was great.
Yep.
Do you think the fact that they are launching what seems to be a prestige book, do you think this indicates that he will return to the MCU in some way, whether it's the guy from Netflix series or it's a new character? Do you think I feel like sometimes they're really good about alignment with the books and the TV movie series, and they're introducing a new a new Black Widow comic is up for an Eisner as the Black Widow movie drops. We're prepping this big return of Luke Cage. Is that some kind of signal? How likely is it that he'll show up somewhere?
I think they're keeping their options open. Like, bring him to the forefront. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy, but like, if it tests well, we'll bring him in. If it doesn't test well, then maybe we won't return it.
Right.
Like, you also have to look at the business side of things, which sucks, because I think, another Luke Cage series would have been awesome, because the first one was pretty awesome.
Broke Netflix. It broke Netflix when it debuted. They shut it down.
It's like insane. Now, if they could just, bring another Luke Cage series back, bring back Jessica Jones, maybe adapt Zdarsky's Daredevil for,
maybe
just bring them all into the MCU. Come on, everybody.
I think, I don't know. I like to think about those characters showing up in the MCU, because so many of them were just perfectly cast and so well done. I hope that this is a signal that we might get some Luke Cage in some form or other in the MCU. I feel like they have so many but Iron Fist. Everyone badmouths Iron Fist because it wasn't good, but other than that, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and the Punisher series all were had a lot of fans, a lot of positive reactions, a lot of critical acclaim to a lot of those series. So that's 4 characters right there that the MCU could engineer 4. They could do it all at once, or they could have 4 separate huge audience reaction moments if we did not know that those characters were going to show up, and they did. Someone's about to get pummeled, whatever. Peter Parker and then the Spider-Man movie's about to get pummeled to death, and all of a sudden some fist comes in out of nowhere, and he looks up and it's Luke Cage. We would go insane if that happened. The audience would go insane. Same if they did that with Jessica Jones, Punisher, Daredevil. I mean, obviously Daredevil's rumored to be in the Spider-Man movie. That has not been confirmed. So, or at least, sorry, Matt Murdock is rumored to be in the Spider-Man series. So anyway,
as long as Matt Murdock is
I
Charlie
don't know
Cox,
what it
we're
means. I don't know what this comic might mean, if it has any influence on if we'll see Luke Cage in the MCU anytime soon. I hope it does, but that aside, this sounds like an incredibly cool comic, and I cannot wait to read it when it comes out. I believe it was in October. We're getting a lot of announcements for books that come out in October. This one being another one, not from one of the big two. This is coming from Vault Comics in October. It's called The Rush. But The Rush stands for This Hungry Earth Reddens Under Snow-Clad Hills. Which is a pretty terrifying title. This is it should be terrifying because this is a Western horror series from Cy Spurrier and artist Nathan Gooden. Again, from Vault Comics. It's basically about a stranger searching for her son in a frozen western town full of greedy gold diggers and possibly giant spider monsters, based on the cover that was announced this week. I like the blending of genres like this. I feel like if you have a Western, it's normally just a Western. If you have a horror movie, most horror movies take place in modern times or the times in which they are made. I think the idea of having a Western horror series is intriguing, and I don't know. Again, there's a giant spider-ish, or it looked like maybe a cowboy riding a giant spider into the sunset.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Or maybe he's a half cowboy, half spider guy. I don't know. You should look at the cover. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, this is cool. Vault is doing some cool stuff lately, and The Rush, This Hungry Earth Reddens Under Snow-Clad Hills. I gotta wonder which came first there. If they wanted to call it The Rush and then figured out what it could be, or vice versa. But
and Cy Spurrier has had some recent success too with Way of X, so he's dipped his toes into the
that's right.
the X-Men verse, so the Hickman verse, if you will.
Slouch. The Hickman verse, yeah. He knows what he's doing for sure. So that's coming out in October. Again, I feel like we're getting a lot of like horror-ish or Halloween-ish announcements for books that are coming out in October. And I'm a big Halloween guy, as you know, Steve. So I'll probably be very hard for me not to pick up every single one of these books that we're talking about come October. Speaking of comics, I want to give a shout out to a couple of books that came out this week. This week we got the return of Booster Gold in Blue and Blue Beetle in their new miniseries Booster Gold from Dan Jurgens. These are two
Blue and Gold
fan favorite characters. And Dan Jurgens has written them, wrote them in Justice League Unlimited a long time ago. He's written them a few times since then. They're both very interesting characters. Power set wise, they don't really have much to do with each other, but they're just best friends, and so it's always good when they get to be in a series together. The first issue was tons of fun. Definitely seems like they are setting up bigger things to come in this miniseries, and I can't wait for that. Also want to give a shout out to Superman Red and Blue #5 that came out. It's an anthology series along the lines of Batman Black and White that's coming out. There was a story that was written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson that straight up made me cry. It was so good. So if you are into Superman and heavy emotional stories surrounding that character, pick up Superman Red and Blue #5 that came out this week. And next week, we got some really cool stuff coming out next week. Tom Taylor's taking over Superman. With Superman, son of Kal-El, Clarke Kent, as Superman, is going off to do something else, and his son, Jonathan Kent, is taking over as the protector of Metropolis. That comes out this week. Black Widow #9, Eisner winner Black Widow #9 series is still going on. You can jump in. That comes out this week. Another acclaimed book that Steve mentioned earlier, Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil 32 comes out this week. Harley Quinn #5, been hearing a lot of buzz about that book being incredible. Strange Adventures from Tom King, another Eisner nominee at 11, issue 11 out of 12. So they're getting ready to end their run. That has been an incredible book. And also Amazing Spider-Man 71. We are inching closer to the, severe injury or possible death of Peter Parker, as we talked about, because he's going to be sidelined to make room for Ben Reilly coming in 73, 75 or 70.
Yep, 75.
Late 70s, right? So we're getting there. So if you want to see what happens to Peter Parker, I would say jump on to Amazing Spider-Man number 71 and see where it goes from there. Steve, are you excited about any of these books in particular? Sorry, I'm like knocking all my stuff over here. Jeez, are you excited about any of these books in particular? Is there something that you're reading right now that you're super excited about?
So I haven't hit any of those yet. I may throw Superman Son of Kal-El on the pull list. You did miss one Eisner winner that's coming out next week. Something's Killing the Children 18. So we get to continue the saga. And then Sword number 7 and Star Wars The High Republic is one that I've had on my pull list that's been very solid so far. So, the ongoing Wolverine I haven't caught up to it. I'm still on the Marvel Unlimited run of that. So it was good so far. I'm sure it's still good.
Is that the one that you're reading, is that the Tom Taylor Wolverine that is focused on Laura, or is it a Logan?
No, this is the Ben Percy Logan.
Okay.
So this is the one that's tied into the post House of X stuff.
Oh, okay.
So she's on the main book, and he's in a solo book now.
Oh, okay. Right. Everything I hear about Tom Taylor's run on All New
Wolverine was phenomenal. Yeah. That was a great run.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything I hear about it is that it's incredible, so I feel like I got to pick up an omnibus or something and dive into it, because I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been into reading Wolverine books, and I've dipped my toe into the Hickman stuff, and some of it's great, and some of it is too complex for me.
I had someone do the same thing maybe 2 weeks ago or something. He was like, all right, I'm diving back in. And I was like, all right, let me know before you do so I can guide you through it. And he didn't. And he's like, oh God, too much. It's like, you could have skipped 3 of those that you read and they just weren't that great. So, yeah.
Yeah. It is a monumental achievement that Hickman has done so much with so many different titles of the X-Men in the last few years. He's clearly some kind of wacky genius that he can track all these characters and track this entire world that he's in charge of, basically.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many mutants and so many X-Men, and he's really touching on all of them and giving them, I don't know. He's doing some cool stuff, but a lot of it is just too much for me to jump into. It's just like, and that's kind of like, it's kind of what the X-Men are. Like, you kind of fight. You have to fight through that. If you're passionate about it, you'll fight through it enough to where you get it. You read enough and you understand what's happening. But it is overwhelming when you go to the comic book store and you look at the X-Men section and there's 29 different X-Men titles. You're like, I don't know where to start here.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you need some sort of guide to ferry you through on that one, and I can be your guide if you need be.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably need that. I am still, like I said, I just read, besides the Booster Gold that I read this week, a new issue of, was there a new issue of Batman this week, or am I just catching up? I don't know. I'm behind on, like, my pull list. I have a stack of stuff that I've pulled and actually not actually gotten to yet, including those Something is Killing the Children's that I just haven't even started. So I'm about to have 3 different books from that new arc that I haven't read yet. So great. I'm slowing down. I got to get back on track. I am trying to catch up on. I'm trying to read the first 3 volumes of that Suicide Squad that I mentioned before, John Ostrander's Suicide Squad. And I'm also trying to get through more of Sandman, because I haven't finished the first 10 volumes of Sandman that are so acclaimed, and I kind of want to get through that before the audio drama starts spoiling stuff for me, or the Netflix show, honestly, because we're not really sure when that's coming out yet, but I want to be primed and ready for it. So
crazy.
So that's kind of where I am, just kind of working through some stuff. Got my DC Universe app too, tearing through some stuff on there, of course. But yeah, that's everything I'm reading, and that's all I got. Unless you got other news, buddy. That's everything that's fit to print on my end.
No, I think we did it, and we almost kept it to an hour. So I think
it's close, right? It's got to be close.
This might be our closest. So with that said, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, let you know when we're going live, usually about 9:30 on a Sunday. If you're listening to this on your podcatcher of choice, leave us a review, leave us a 5-star review. Hell, we'll read it on air like we said. Why not?
Please.
Apple Podcasts would be great. That always helps the algorithm. The more you guys like and review, the more people get to see that we're a thing. So you're only helping us. Help me help you, was said in Jerry Maguire. Beyond that, you can contact us on Twitter at the Multiverse, at Multiverse RPT. Gmail at the Multiverse Report at gmail.com. If you feel like randomly penning a long form communication to us, that would be great. Beyond that, I think that's probably a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. You said every Sunday, but we should tell people that next Sunday we will not be going live. It'll be a Monday night show next week. We've got some personal stuff going on next Sunday. Both of us do. So check us out next Monday around 9:30 on YouTube, and then Monday night, early Tuesday, what have you, for the podcasters. So that's all I got, and if that's all you got, Steve, then thank you so much for tuning in and listening, and we will see you next time.
Yay! Now my mouse does work. Yeah, let me get an official on this. Well, it depends. If we